you just fall in love with it and it gets in your blood. And I wanted to farm my whole life and dedicated my studies at the university so I could be the best farmer I could be.
This is Don Vilwalk, and we're at the home base of Vilwalk Farms in southwestern Indiana. Vilwalk Farms includes about 4,000 acres located on separate parcels in 4 adjacent counties. Don's farm family includes his wife Joyce and farm manager Jason Misiniak. Don is a crop farmer specializing in white corn, soybeans, and some soft red wheat. Don uses a precision agriculture approach to run his farm. Precision agriculture relies on 3 main elements: technology, information, and management. What are the consequences of adopting precision agriculture?
In the last few years, the use of new technology has actually evolved into a tool that farmers can use to collect data to make better decisions for more profitability for their farm, more sustainability for their farm, to protect the environment, to apply less pesticides, maybe variable rate fertilizer only where it's needed. And so these new technologies allow a farmer to make smarter decisions, better decisions, to make the farm better and more sustainable.
Let's see how precision agriculture works on the Vilwalk farm.
Our planter is hooked up to satellites, at least 3 at a time, to get exact coordinates of where we're located in the field, and follows us through the field. It also allows the tractor to auto steer itself. So as a farmer, I'm sitting in the seat, I'm monitoring all the data that's showing up on the screen of what we're actually doing. But as a farmer, you no longer touch the steering wheel once you get the process started. And so used to, a farmer would pride themselves in planting straight rows, but today every row is straight because the GPS satellites are driving the tractor and making those perfect straight rows and exactly the spacing between the rows to do that. It also doesn't allow us to over-apply in an area that we've already planted. We save seed, so if an area has already been planted and we get close to the end of the field, it'll automatically shut the planter off so it doesn't double plant on top. And that's very important because this new genetic seed is so expensive. The corn we plant today, or other farmers plant today, that's been genetically modified, is $300 for 50 pounds. And then this plants the seed, places the seed. It's all computer controlled from the tractor. You can variable rate it from soil types as we go through the field, and so the very best productive soil may get planted at 34,000 seeds per acre. We'll go over a less productive part of the field. We can cut the rate back to 27,000, and the computer does that all automatically. We're just now getting into GPS irrigation systems.
It works like this. A probe buried 60 inches into the soil sends out signals every 3 minutes, communicating the moisture and salinity levels. These signals are sent to a communications tower and then to the farmer's cell phone or computer. Using this information, the farmer decides whether to add water to specific areas identified by the probe rather than irrigating the entire field.
Precision irrigation management is all about applying the right amount of water at the right crop growth stage, at the right rate of water in the right area of the field to optimize that crop, to ensure that we aren't limiting moisture at key growth stages in the crop. So this is some of the data that is collected that we, with the soil moisture probes, we're measuring what's been added to the profile in the blue bars, what's been removed from the profile in the red bars. And early on in the growing cycle of any crop, it doesn't need as much moisture. But then as we get to the reproductive time periods, we can see that it uses more moisture.
Today, we're growing crops with a third less water than we did just 15 years ago. So we can more adequately manage our water resources to do that, besides reduce our energy costs, which are very expensive when you have to irrigate.
This drone, actually a quadcopter, is used to look at the fields from above. It can fly for about 20 minutes on a single charge and cover 200 acres. Here, Gene Flanagan is using his drone to do a late-season inspection on Don Vilwach's cornfields.
When the crop starts to turn in the fall, I call it senesce, the healthy areas will stay greener longer, and the areas that are stressed a little bit will brown quicker. So as this crop starts to turn in the fall, you can really tell stress areas in the field, whether it is natural by soil type or it's man-made by equipment compacting the field or misapplication of nitrogen or something like that. Those things are really showing up at this point.
The observation from a vehicle would be that this corn was deficient in nitrogen because of the yellow you got along here. But after you fly in a drone or get up above it and get some imagery, you can tell it's only the end rows that have been affected. The strip here is a misapplication of nitrogen.
So now when we'll harvest here in 2 or 3 weeks, then that'll show up in our yield monitor and a map that we're going to have, and we'll know, and then we'll know why. We use global position satellites on all of our machinery to gather data. So this is showing us our field. It's only making 100 bushel per acre, 101, 102 where we're at right now. The moisture is 19.4% moisture. Ground's getting a little better here, 104, but that's not very good. So that's about half what we would expect in an excellent year. Heat in July and the dry weather in August is what's contributed to the low yield. This is the 2012 yield map of a field of corn. It is irrigated. Part of it is irrigated with a center pivot irrigation. You can kind of see the outside radius line of the irrigation system, and so the dark green dots indicate the very best, and the red indicates areas where the water didn't get squirted on the corn, and so yields are way less. So you can see the difference of what an irrigation actually does. Each of these rows here indicate that that's 12 rows of corn that our corn harvester was going down through. And so each one of these dots represents a 3-second motion of that combine harvester, where it's showing the yield in that 3-second span. And so it's just perpetual data points as we go through the field, and it makes this map for us. So we'll generate this map on actual harvest day, which it will record. And then we sit down with our agronomy team and our consultants, and we'll go through that. And so we'll take a look and see why certain areas may be a different color. We know this little area right here, if we'd put on our soils map, that's a little sand pocket right there. And so you'll see those red dots, even though it was irrigated, because the soil type was not as productive, the yield wasn't as good. So we'll talk about that. We'll make sure that's the right reason that happened. Ideally, as a farmer, we would like this whole farm to be uniformly green. Why isn't this area as green as some other areas that are in the field? And then we'll spot treat this area here with maybe additional fertilizer. It could be maybe lime that it's short in that area. It might be drainage that shows up. So we'll talk about that and hopefully make management decisions to make that better for the next year. And really the key is, once again, is looking at the data once you get the data. And so I can look at a pretty map and see, well, one area of the field's maybe not as dark or green as and healthy as other parts of the field, but that doesn't allow me as a farmer to know what to do to fix it. And so that's why you need trained professionals to really take a look at those areas. We tie everything together, whether that is topography maps that are GIS developed and referenced, and then we use our weather data. We use our elevation in the field and our drainage maps, our soils maps, and then ultimately our harvest yield maps. We tie those all together and try to put this puzzle together so we would know what the end result is all evolving technology and very exciting, very important for me as a farmer.